Alright guys, so like I said, this is going to be a preview vid for Section 17, the all Captain America fights. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, basically what I've been recently doing with my fight videos since I brought it back was more or less have one character per each section be picked out from a vote, and more or less people vote on that character, and then when that character gets enough votes, he or she is the winner of the section, and what happens next is more or less people just pick out fights for that one character. Think of it like this one character this time around, Captain America, is my prize fighter, and everyone else is getting people to fight my prize fighter. That is really stupid, I'm sorry. That's a stupid analogy. But anyway, so last section was Spider-Man, and this section we're going to have a good old Captain America for this section. And yes, I do have fights picked out for sections 17 through 21. Yeah, that far in advance. But I'll get to, I'll tell you guys when we can go further. Right now, I think I've got enough fight sections to go through until we can move on to section 22. But anyway. So yeah, this is going to be a preview of what's to come, and more or less what this is more or less just me telling you guys the fights. I normally do this as a video, but I was like, you know what, this would probably save me a lot of time, so yeah. In other words, I got lazy. Hey, if Chris can do that, I can do that too. So anyway, here we go with the list for Section 17, the all Captain America fights. Starting off with versus Cobra Commander from G.I. Joe. This fight came from me. Next up is versus Samurai Jack from Wolfman the Impaler. Following that is versus the Comedian from Watchmen by George Meister. Next up we have versus Garrus Vakarian from Mass Effect by Linerman 245. Following that is versus Jax from Mortal Kombat. This came from me. Following that, excuse me, is versus Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This fight comes from my good friend Craig Simon. Next up we have versus Duke from G.I. Joe from Mr. J's Comic Reviews. Then we have versus David Kane from DC Comics by Mr. Emerald 123. Following that, we have versus Black Canary from Original Mothman 1. Next up is versus Overkill from Spawn Comics. This fight came from me. Then we have versus Big B Wolf from Fables. This fight came from I'm a Dragon Zord. Then we have versus Hawkman. This fight came from Iron X Knight. Then we have versus Macbeth from Gargoyles. This fight comes from Malingar. Then we have versus Gene Starwind from Outlaw Star. This fight also came from me. Then we have versus Lex Luthor from Black Man Hulk. Then we have versus Predator from Burnouter 7. Then we have versus Snake Eyes, another G.I. Joe character. This fight comes from Casey Hudson. Then we have versus Zuko. This fight comes from the Spawn 117. Then, next up, we have David Xanatos, another Gargoyles character. This is another fight that came from me. Next up, we have Liu Kang, another Mortal Kombat character, from Jesse MB27. Then, we have versus Green Arrow, from Codename Crimson Wind. Next up, we have Ripclaw from Cyberforce. This is another fight that came from me. Then, following that, is versus Judge Dredd from Predator Warrior 18. Next fight up is versus Grey Fox from Serpentine 145, Grey Fox from the Metal Gear series. Then it's versus Toxon from the new Max Steel series, and this is another fight that came from me. Following that is versus Rorschach, another Watchmen character, and this fight is done by Luis Alberto. This fight came from Luis Alberto. There's a lot more to the name, but if you're watching this, sir, I do apologize for not pronouncing your full name. I can't pronounce it on the ground, so I'm afraid I'm butchering it, and insulting you. I do apologize that I can't pronounce your full name because I'm afraid I'm going to completely butcher it. I'm totally sorry for that. But anyway, yes, that fight is Captain America versus Rorschach, as I said. Then we have versus Bloodshot from Valiant Comics, and this fight comes from 5863 to HHHH. Then we have versus Repton from Stormhawks, another fight that comes from me. Then we have versus the Boss, another Metal Gear character coming to fight Cap. This fight comes from Steve Sta 109. Yes, I'm afraid. I'm sorry. I do apologize if I completely butchered your name. If you're listening to this, Steve Sta 109. So yeah, that fight is Captain America versus the Boss. Then we have Captain America versus Bronze Tiger by Zack the Thunder King. I am very much looking forward to doing that fight. Then we have Spider-Man, Captain America versus Blacklash from Image Comics by Stan Gable, 1985. Following that, we have versus Vandal Savage, another fight from me. Following that, we have versus Boba Fett from Star Wars. Yeah, Cap's going to take on greatest bounty hunter in the universe, in the Star Wars universe, by Verbangeline 95. I am totally sorry if I completely butchered that name. I am butchering a lot of names. I'm sorry. Then we have Cap versus Terminator. Yes, the T-800 Terminator by More Crossovers. Then next up is Cap versus Deadshot by J Witch Dragon. Then we have Cap versus Lady Shiva by A Warlock 82. Then we have Cap versus Grifter, another Wildstorm, basically, yeah, DC Wildstorm character, however you want to look at it. This is another fight from me. Then we have versus Ken the Eagle by Animate 84. Ken the Eagle from Battle of the Planets, or as also it's known as Gotcha Man. Then we have Colonel Raddick versus Colonel Raddick from Killzone. This comes from Ermac Robinson. And then finally is the final fight, Captain America versus Goro from Mortal Kombat. This is the final fight of the section, and this fight comes from me. So yeah, that is the section on a whole. I want to thank everyone who sent in fights and gave me these awesome fights. This is going to be a great section. Cap is going to be definitely working overtime in these matchups. He has got some major opponents. I'm talking Shiva, Raddick, Garrus, Splinter, all these like characters, and some newcomers to these fights. I never thought I would do a character from Fables or a few others. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's the section on a whole. I hope you guys are excited. I don't know when I'll start doing the fights. Soon. I'm going to take a little break from them because obviously I've been working a lot on the Spider-Man fights, even though they haven't been the most consistently posted. But still. So soon, stay tuned for the all Captain America fights. And I hope you guys are excited. And yeah, once again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm out.